Hi, everybody. Welcome back to your Pro Tools lessons for today. My name is McKay Tebbs, and today we're going to be talking about lesson 6 from the Pro Tools 110 Handbook, import, export, and recording. We're going to be talking about things like the keyboard commands for importing different types of files. We're also going to be talking about how to capture a clip and what that is, how to consolidate a clip. We're also going to be talking about the Soundbase Browser, which is kind of the browser for loops and effects and things like that, and how to use that. So let's get started. So here is my Pro Tools session. So many times when you're working in here, you need to import clips from elsewhere. And there's different types of clips you can import. There's audio files, there's MIDI files, there's video files. Okay, the easiest place to do this without knowing anything is just go to File, Import, and that's probably what you already do know. And you go to File, Import, Session Data. Here's for audio files. Here's for MIDI. Here's for videos. But notice that audio files, MIDI, and videos, they all have different keyboard commands. And that's kind of what I want to focus on here, is we can learn these keyboard commands and they can help us to import things even faster. So this up arrow is shift. This sign in the middle means command. And then this is the letter I for import. They all have the I for import. So shift command I, option command I, and then option shift command I. You put the two together. So let's give those commands a try really quick and see what happens. Here is shift command I. When I push that, the box comes to import audio. So now I can import an audio file. That's shift command I. Go ahead and do that a couple times. Shift command I, import audio. Shift command I, import audio. Now let's try the next one. Option command I is for MIDI. So here's the MIDI import. Let's try that one. Option command I is MIDI. Option command I, and then putting them all together, shift option command I is for video. Notice how it says it up at the top. So here's video. Shift option command I. Shift option command I. So once again, that's shift command I for audio. Option command I for MIDI. Shift option command I for video. So anyway, it's good to become familiar with all those different commands to import the different types of files. There are questions on the exam that talk about those commands. Actually, the Pro Tools 110 test is all about the keyboard commands. So you're going to want to learn as many of those as you can so you can recognize them when you're being asked them on the tests. Sometimes over here in your clips list, you have different files here that need to be exported. So it's possible to export these clips right out of the clips list as a file on its own. And all you have to do is select one of the files, right click on it, and then you get this option here that says export clips as files. You select it, and now you get some parameters to choose from. You can choose WAV, you can choose the type of file, WAV, MP3, AIF. You can choose the format. So format multi-mono, multiple mono, or interleaved. This has to do with stereo files. And if you have the multi-mono selected, then it's going to take that stereo file and save it as two separate files, even though it's stereo. The best thing to do here is to select interleaved so that your stereo files, both sides of the stereo field will be interleaved together in one file. You can select the bit depth and the sample rate, kind of cool. And then last of all, you can choose where you want it to save. So I'm just going to save it right here in the name of my untitled folder where I have everything. I'm going to push export. And it's as easy as that. And then after you're done working on clips, you can export them and share them with other people or for other things that you need to share them with, and you can immediately have access to export those. Another thing that's going to help your workflow is to learn how to consolidate a clip. Before we talk about consolidating, we have to recognize that there's times where your clip is separated. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to push Command E. Here I have separated my clip. And there's times where you don't want it to be separated. So to make multiple clips into one clip, you need to consolidate it. And the easiest way to consolidate it is to highlight those multiple clips, come here to the clip menu. And the easiest way to consolidate it is to highlight those multiple clips, come over here to the edit menu and scroll down to where it says consolidate clip. And you'll notice that now that whole clip has been consolidated into one again, and that was awesome. I'm going to try that again. So the keyboard command to make a separation is Command E. Sometimes you have space in between your clips, and when you consolidate, it actually fills in the space in between the clips as well. So let's go ahead and try and consolidate that now. And so we consolidate that, and you can see that the space has been consolidated there as well. And that can be a good thing because oftentimes you're trying to keep the space relationships the same. So you want it to be one clip, but you don't necessarily want the clips to be forward on the line or backwards from where they're supposed to be. So this gets into a little bit of editing. Hopefully by now you know the edit Command E to make an insertion. So I can Command E, I can come to these breakpoints, select it, I can delete it. So you can do that as needed. But another thing that happens a lot when you're editing in Pro Tools is you might have a part of the track that you're trying to edit out or replace with something. For example, let's say that we have a chorus of a song, and on one chorus, I messed up a little bit, but on the other chorus, I didn't. I got it right on. So sometimes I might want to go to that second chorus and capture that right on part and then copy it and put it in the first chorus on that part that I messed up on to clean up the first chorus. And that happens a lot in editing. And when you do that, usually what you'll do is you'll make an edit selection on each side of the part you're trying to copy, and then you'll highlight it, and then you copy and paste, right? Command C, and then you put your cursor somewhere else and Command V, and then you can have it somewhere else. And that works fine, but it afterwards leaves these lines here, these separation lines that you just edited. So you have to fix those separation lines because you don't want the original spot to be ruined. A good way to fix those separation lines, by the way, is Command H, H for heal. And now I have healed those separation lines. So Command E separates, Command H heals a separation. Well, wouldn't it be nice to get that, I don't know, to get that part of the clip out of there without having to separate and then heal at the end? Can I just capture it and get it out? And you can. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is I think one of the coolest commands you could learn because it's just going to save you so much on the front and back end of your editing. You simply make the selection you want and then use the Command R, the keyboard command, Command R. When you do that, you have to name this new clip that you're capturing. This is called clip capture, by the way. So I'm going to name this good take 1. I'm going to push OK. And now, as soon as I do that, it created my new clip and it's highlighted in blue. So that's how you know where it is. When you come over here to your clips list, you find your newly named clip over here in the clips list, and then drag it and drop it into your session to where you want it to be. And look at that. It's exactly the same as that part that I had highlighted and that I had captured. So clip capture will make it so you don't have to separate at the beginning of an edit, and you don't have to heal it at the end. You just capture that part of the clip right out. Let's try it again. I'm going to select this section here. I'm going to go Command R to clip capture. I'm going to name it good take 2. Push OK. And there it is in my clips list. And I'm going to drag it from my clips list and drop it where I want it to go. So we're now going to talk about something in Pro Tools called the Soundbase Browser. And let's not confuse this with the Workspace Browser, which is something you know about. First of all, Option I will open up your Workspace Browser. So I'm going to push Option I. Here's my Workspace Browser. To open up the Soundbase Browser, you're going to push Control Option I. And now with Control Option I have the Soundbase browser, and they do look a little different. They look the same also, but they also look different. So your workspace browser is a place you can go to import files into your session. It's another way of importing files and things. Your Soundbase browser is specifically for importing loops and sound effects and um, and clips. So it's kind of like, if you're familiar with the Logic Pro software, it's kind of like how you have the loops on the side of it, and you can import all these loops in. That's what the Soundbase browser is for you in Pro Tools. So you can get your drum loops or your whatever instrument loops you're looking for. And you get there by holding Control Option I. So remember, Option I for the workspace browser, Control Option I for the Soundbase browser. So you can do searches in here and you can look for new clips, but the first thing I want to show you is this button at the top, the Conform to Session Tempo button. When you have pushed this button, it will make all of these loops and clips down here match your session tempo. So that's a good idea, right? Because if you're auditioning things, you want to hear it in time with what you're working in. Usually you do. Now you can use these boxes here for searching. For example, if you want to find the key, you can come here and select the key. Let's say the key of E. And now all of these clips here are all in the key of E. I can push this play button here and I can audition the front. You can also use these tags up here to refine your search of what you're looking for. So for example, I want something that's processed and I want it to have a staccato effect in it and something with a synthesizer. And so now I have refined my search and I have used those tags to help narrow down the field. Let's say that synthesizer didn't give me a lot of options. I may want it, but I may not. So I'm going to hold down Option and click synthesizer. Now synthesizer is grayed out. If it's grayed out, it means it's not active, so it's not part of the search anymore, even though it's there. But if you option click it, you can turn it back to blue, so it's part of the search again. So option clicking can gray out some of your search tags so that they're not currently active in the search. So anyway, that's a little bit about the Soundbase browser, and that's how you find it. Last of all, we're going to talk a little bit about some of these rulers that you see here in your session. First of all, you might not see these, and if you don't, you need to hit this drop-down menu so that you can see the different rulers that you might want to see. You can add as many rulers into your session as you want, but it gets cumbersome, so it's a good idea to just add the ones that you actually think you're going to be using in your session. And for right now, let's just keep it down to bars and beats and the meter and the tempo. First of all, you can change the meter of your song by hitting this plus sign. And when you do that, it opens up this meter dialog box. So you can change the meter to a different time signature if you want. Push OK. And now notice that where my insert was, I have now changed it to 3/4 time. And that's right there on the time ruler. You can also change the tempo in a like manner. I'm going to come here to the end of everything, and that's where I'm going to put the insert. I'm going to push this plus button, and now I get the tempo change. Now, you can type a tempo in. So I'm going to type in 115, and that could do it. But one really cool thing you can do here in this tempo change box is push the T key. And by pushing T at a certain beat, a certain tempo, you can manually put that tempo in there. So I'm going to put a slower tempo in. I'm just typing the T key, and now I've got 87. I'm going to do it even slower now. Now I'm at 49. Now I'm going to go fast again. So you can see how maybe you don't know what the exact tempo is of your song, but I'm going to push OK. Yeah, so maybe you don't know what the exact tempo is in your song, but you do know you're listening to the song and you can tap your finger along to listening to it. So you can just kind of put the tempo in like that if you need to. All right, let's take one more look over here at the tempo ruler and notice there's a triangle here that you can click on. And when you do, it opens up the tempo field, the tempo range, and here's the numbers. So 50 beats per minute, 70, 100, and as you scroll up, you can get up to 200. So you can use the pencil to draw in tempo changes. So I'm going to select this pencil tool. I'm going to right click on this really quick and notice there's different options. First of all, the shape options do not work for tempo changes. The shape options are triangle, square, and random. And that's another test you're going to find on the Pro Tools exam when you take it. Another test question. So when it asks you which pencil tools you can use for tempo changes, remember it's the ones that are not the triangles or not the shapes. So you can use freehand, you can use line, you can use parabolic, you can use S-curve. Let's start with freehand and see what that's like. I'm just going to draw a line here and notice that my tempo change will reflect that line I drew. My line was all about from 70 to 100, not a very wide range, but I could try and make it a much larger range. And that's way over 300 for a second and then back down. So anyway, this can be a very effective way to draw in a tempo change. Let's go ahead and try it with the line tool. And when we're using that one, it's just going to make a straight line one way or the other. It's not freehand. And so I went from 112 to 85 to 110 beats per minute. And when you're done with all those tempo changes, you just close the window right there. And that's that. It's all set. So thanks for coming to this video today and learning more about Pro Tools with me. My name is McKay Tabs, and I'll see you next time.